Okay, so just moments ago at the White House, you saw it right here live on CBS News 24/7. President Donald Trump weighing in on those failed talks with Iran. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly. Very badly.
What was the sticking point over? You said it was over nuclear.
It was over nuclear. Very similar, yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back either. We'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Mr. President, as far as the naval blockade is concerned, what's the end game? Is it to force Iran back to the negotiating table? Is it to...
Meanwhile, happening right now, following those failed peace talks between the U.S. and Iran, a U.S. Navy blockade on all ships entering and exiting Iranian ports. You're seeing that area, including that partial blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. So at this hour, leaders in Iran are vowing to retaliate. They say no Gulf traffic will be safe. So let's go live to Washington and CBS News Pentagon reporter Eleanor Watson. Okay, Ellie, so here's the warning from President Trump. He said if any of these ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated. He says he will use the same system of kill that we use against the drug dealers on the boats at sea. So let's talk about our U.S. military assets in the region right now. What are their capabilities there at the Strait of Hormuz and elsewhere at the ports?
Reed, there are about a dozen warships in the Middle East right now. That includes 11 destroyers and an aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln. That's kind of been the presence since the war with Iran began, but now they're taking on a new mission with this announcement of a blockade. The destroyers specifically can defend against aerial threats, think missiles and drones, and then the aircraft carrier, the Lincoln, can serve as really a base of operations as well as a pretty large intimidation factor to discourage anyone from breaking that blockade. This stopping of traffic, this intimidation is kind of becoming a go-to for President Trump because it's a similar presence to what we saw in the Caribbean to pressure economically Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela back in December. Now he is using this blockade to force Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and to put traffic back in there so that the energy prices can come back down.
Okay, so is the blockade holding, and will it hold as we go into a new week?
As of right now, according to our confirmed unit, at least 2 tankers that are believed to be have friendly ties with Iran have turned around from the strait. One tanker, according to our confirmed unit, had a destination of China, and it turned around 20 minutes after the blockade went into effect at 10 a.m. Eastern this morning. And then another tanker that was under the flag of Botswana, which is a landlocked country, also turned around. The president on Truth Social just recently said that 34 tankers went through yesterday on Sunday, but the traffic before the conflict began was about 120, 130 tankers. So it'll take more commercial ships willing to brave the risk that's still there of potential missile, drone, or fast attack speedboat attacks to get that traffic back up and running and to give the U.S. the upper hand in this now economic phase of the conflict.
Well, we knew President Trump said that those fast attack ships by Iran weren't seen before as a risk, but he's promising to sink those as well if they get in the way. You'll be watching it, I know. Eleanor Watson, thank you so much. Now to what some see as the American president versus the American Pope. President Trump says Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy, after the leader of the worldwide Catholic Church criticized the war in Iran, saying that President Trump's threats to destroy the Iranian civilization was unacceptable. So for context, here's what President Trump had to say last night on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews. Listen.
We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person. And he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
Meanwhile, CBS News foreign correspondent Livesay picks up the story from here following the Pope on his trip to Algeria.
Well, the American Pope is pushing back against criticism from the American president with a degree of boldness that is so far unprecedented in his papacy. Speaking to journalists on the papal plane to Africa before it had even landed, he told journalists that he, quote, has no fear of the Trump administration and will continue to speak out loudly for the message of the gospel. Now, Pope Leo also quoted scripture. "Blessed are the peacemakers," he said. And when he came to where I was seated, we asked if he could comment on the recent remarks from President Trump on Truth Social. The Pope responded by suggesting that the president had misunderstood the message of the Gospels, seen here in this video that I took.
To put my message on the same plane as what the president has attempted to do here, I think is not understanding what the message of the gospel is. And I'm sorry to hear that, but I will continue on what I believe is the mission of the church in the world today.
He added that too many innocent people are being killed and insisted that there is a better path forward, one rooted in peace and reconciliation. Now, when one journalist asked the Pope if he had seen the post from the president on Truth Social, the Pope responded, "It's ironic, the name, no more words necessary." In other words, he was referring to the word truth in Truth Social. Back to you.
Chris Livesay, thank you so much. So let's continue the conversation live to CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. So Olivia, we're following what may be a little bit of breaking news here. Reports the president just deleted this AI image of himself as Jesus administering a healing blessing on somebody who's sick. Do we know why that disappeared from the internet?
Indeed, Reed, it is no longer on the internet. When you click the link, it says the link is broken. And actually, Arwisha Jang just asked the president about this picture, which you're seeing right there on the screen, which depicts President Trump as Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ the Healer, healing a sick man, other Americana images in there as well. This got a lot of backlash from conservative influencers and Christians who said it's blasphemous to put your face on a depiction of Jesus Christ in any form. In that case, Arwisha Jang did ask the president if he himself was the one who posted the photo, because as we know, there has been controversial photos and videos that have been posted on the president's Truth Social platform before, which they have said that aides have posted, but the president took responsibility and he said he posted it. Take a listen to what he said here.
Yeah, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime and other things. So I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo, and you know, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. Now, you have to have law and order in our country, and that's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country. But we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, since 1900, the lowest murder rate. So we believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that, so there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong. The other thing is he didn't like what we're doing with respect to Iran, but Iran is wants to be a nuclear nation so they can exterminate the world. Not going to happen.
Now, that soundbite, the president, you heard him there talking about Pope Leo, his rift with him, talking about what's going on with the negotiations inside of Iran. In response to Ouija's question about whether he posted the photo, the president said it wasn't a depiction of him as Jesus. He said, I did post it. I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with the Red Cross as a Red Cross worker, and then said he supports the Red Cross and blamed, quote, the fake news for coming up with this photo depicting him as Jesus, though, Reed, as you can see there, it is very much in his likeness and image. So certainly notable that the president there saying that he thought it was him as a doctor, which is why he reposted it. But this obviously comes, of course, as we have seen the president over the last 24 hours starting a feud, having very strong language for Pope Leo after a 60 Minutes piece that aired last night with Norah O'Donnell, where she spoke with archbishops in the United States who have been speaking out about the war in Iran, saying that this is an unjust war that is being perpetuated and that people are going to get hurt. So this is notable that the president is saying that he won't apologize to the Pope, even as we have heard from the Pope today, who said he is not concerned about what the White House is saying about him and moving forward with his trip in Africa.
All right, so let's put that issue aside. We've gone through that thoroughly, but we know that there are American military personnel with their lives on the line in the Strait of Hormuz and elsewhere in the Middle East. What else came out of that impromptu news conference?
Yeah, the president did say that Iran called. He did not say who called, which continues to be the question that we're asking. Who specifically? The White House, the Trump administration, his special envoy, his son-in-law, and the vice president are speaking with when they're having these big negotiations. But the president said Iran has called and they want negotiations to continue. He said they were the right people that called. We did actually just get this across our desk moments ago from our Jennifer Jacobs that there is continued engagement happening between the U.S. delegation and Iranian leaders. One person told Jennifer Jacobs that forward motion on trying to get an agreement. So there is some movement happening. But of course, this is also happening as that blockade just went into effect earlier today around 10 a.m. Eastern in Iran's Strait of Hormuz, or in the Strait of Hormuz that borders Iran. So very, very notable that there's some diplomacy happening behind the scenes, giving perhaps a little bit of hope that something could come as we are still in this ceasefire, this 2-week ceasefire, that perhaps there's some movement towards a deal.
Okay, we'll say thank you to you for now and let you start chasing that angle. Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much.